What are some simple yet disturbing facts? Statistically speaking, the most dangerous person to any child is their stepfather. Cotard syndrome, also called walking corpse syndrome, is a condition wherein the patient believes they are dead, dying, missing parts of their bodies, or don't exist. Some people with Cotard syndrome may stop speaking or eating, since they believe they are dead. Bored ducklings can become cannibals. If you live in a major city, there is a nuke aimed at you. I live on the outskirts of a city in the top 100 American targets. Out of morbid curiosity, I looked some blast radius maps. When Putin said to get them ready, anything smaller than the largest theoretical nuke ever designed, never built, puts me squarely in the everything will be on fire, but you'll probably survive the initial blast with severe burns if you're inside when it happens. So that was a fun night. There are people currently trapped or kidnapped, living in someone's house. They could be right next door and you'd have no idea. A completely normal neighbor with a dark secret. I work in Shildka. One of my co-workers discovered a situation like this when she was younger and just started babysitting. This middle-aged lady had a young immigrant girl tied up in her house for years. This lady used to babysit my coworker. Her family was on very friendly terms with her. I'm scared this is happening at my neighbor's house. Since I started working from home, I have heard him yelling all day. He sounds furious. At first, I thought it might be a domestic violence situation. But when I thought about it, I have never seen another person walk into his house in the 2 years I have lived there. So then I thought maybe he had anger control issues or maybe some sort of schizophrenia. Then one day I wondered if he had someone trapped in there. Despite literally all war propaganda from every country saying otherwise, you are not going to make an individual impact in glorious battle and die valiantly in a hail of bullets. Statistically, you are overwhelmingly more likely to be killed by an explosive device launched miles away by a vehicle you will never see, long before you ever get a chance to pull the trigger. Egyptian mummies wouldn't be so rare today if the Victorian British hadn't eaten most of them. If you have a parasite in your body, there's only a slim chance you'll know about it before it pops out of your skin or leaves through the back door. Also, some parasites pop out of skin. I didn't know I had a tapeworm until it started trying to eat its way into my stomach from the intestine side. I'd gotten back to the States from living in the Amazon for a year, and about 3 weeks after I got back, I started having excruciating abdominal pain, like something stabbing or biting me on the inside. I'd had giardia already on that trip, so I figured it was probably another parasite of some kind. The pill they give for it is strong, but won't do any damage if you take it no more than once every 6 months. The first doc didn't believe me and accused me of wanting an antiparasitic pill to abuse for the fun of it. This same pill in Brazil was basically free at any pharmacy. All you had to do was ask for it, and the pharmacist would give you one. No prescription needed. The pain continued, so I went to an urgent care, where I got the same treatment. No scans or anything, just not believing me. And finally it was my family dentist who wrote me the script, so I could go get the $8 pill to flush whatever it was out. Well, the whatever it was actually 14 sections of 6 inch to 1.5 feet in length tapeworm that I shat out over the next 36 hours. Effing hell, was that the worst. I don't even know why I'm sharing all this right now. You have no way of really knowing if everyone experiences reality and consciousness the same way you do. I'm friends with a professor of soil ecology here in the Midwest. She says that if we don't change our current farming practices, much of the Midwest soil will be infertile with 1 to 2 generations. You can condition someone with zero personal or family history of mental illness into having some very severe mental illnesses within about a week. Moving back the start time for school in an area resulted in 70% less car accidents. Similarly, at each daylight saving, heart attacks and accidents decrease with an hour of extra sleep and increase with an hour less of sleep. Sleep is crazy important. I believe it. Our school district switched start times this year, so the younger kids have to be to school at 7:30, and then they scheduled spring break for the week before DST, so that first week back to school after jumping ahead was absolute hell. I get the argument that younger kids can function better earlier in the morning, but they are also a lot less self-sufficient. So a high schooler can actually get dressed in 2 minutes and eat quickly, but my 8-year-old drags the ever-living F out of every possible morning task, and it requires a lot more time and effort out of us. So we all get up earlier than we'd have to if he was older. The entire planet could be immediately destroyed by any one of a number of cosmic events that we have no way of seeing or stopping, like rogue black holes. Worst point, there are some events we can very much see coming, but do absolutely nothing about. Sharks have been around for at least 420 million years, meaning they have survived 4 of the big 5 mass extinctions. That makes them older than humanity, older than Mount Everest, older than dinosaurs, older even than trees. Yet we could potentially see them extinct in a lifetime. Body integrity disorder. The PubMed.gov website describes it as the extremely rare phenomenon of persons who desire the amputation of one or more healthy limbs, or who desire a paralysis, adding, some of these persons mutilate themselves, others ask surgeons for an amputation, or for the transection of their spinal cord. Psychologists and physicians explain this phenomenon in quite different ways, but a successful psychotherapeutic or pharmaceutical therapy is not known. Yellowstone is a giant supervolcano. If it blows, things on this planet will go really bad really fast. Less than 10% of all species even have the possibility of being fossilized, and even more will never be discovered, so we only know about the existence of about 3% of all macroscopic life. If a predator tries to kill you, it's just trying to survive. If a herbivore tries, it genuinely wants to kill you. I don't know why this freaks some PPL out, but gelatin is made out of bones. That's right, your melted marshmallow in your hot chocolate is melted animal bone. It's good stuff. That's why the traditional marshmallows aren't vegan or halal. 6 nuclear weapons have been lost and never recovered since the 1950s. Brain aneurysm. It's unexpected and can happen to you at any time. 75% of people die within a day. It happened to my friend who is a nurse. If it's sufficiently dark, you will hallucinate your reflection as a different entity, and it will appear to start moving on its own. Here is one that I learned last month. So, one of my colleagues who is a history teacher was talking to another member of staff about World War II in the break room. The Japanese had an operation planned for 5 weeks after the A-bomb to blanket San Francisco, San Diego, and El Pointe with plague-infested fleas. Scary to think, if they had done that before the A-bomb and their subsequent surrender, how things could have been very different. About 85% of adult autistics are not in full-time employment, many through prejudice and the fact that traditional interview process is loaded against them. Most employers who take the gamble and make reasonable adjustments find that the benefits to the company far outweigh the negatives. There are theories that the reason we haven't discovered aliens yet, even though we statistically should have, also known as the Fermi paradox, is because all civilizations end up being wiped out before they are advanced enough to be detected, and we may suffer the same fate. A branch of this theory called the Dark Forest was covered in a Kurzgesagt video. Thanks to differences in communication and delay caused by the speed of light limit, it may take an excruciatingly long time to let an alien civilization know that we come in peace, and vice versa. By the time our we come in peace message is understood by them, they may have already launched undetectable planet-busting projectiles going a significant percentage of the speed of light. They don't even have to explode to cause devastation at us. So in theory, it's safer to stay silent and shoot first, if you have the ability. Any civilization that is currently alive either follows that strategy, or hasn't reached that point yet. Everyone else either wiped themselves out, or was too loud, and got themselves offed by a scared civilization. It's scary to realize that, if the theory is true, we have a chance of already being beyond a point of no return. Every day your body is being attacked every second by bacteria and viruses, yet your body contains the strongest army that can take on and adapt to fight any and all foreign invaders in the known universe that enter the human body. The immune system is amazing. Jeffrey Epstein was a bad man, but he had information that would put many politicians and celebs away for many years. We are just supposed to believe he conveniently committed suicide at the same time that the security cameras went out. But we all know the simple yet horrible fact of the matter. He didn't. If any of us dared to investigate, to rise up and try to bring the corrupt to justice. If they could get a billionaire in a prison cell, what's to stop them from suiciding us to then? Capgras syndrome is a mental delusion where you believe that the people closest to you have been replaced by imposters. This will probably get buried in the Amagus spam, but the theory behind how it works is actually super fascinating. Basically, it turns out that there are two independent facial recognition processes instead of one, where one is subconscious and emotional and the other is conscious and objective. This is evidenced by research showing that people who developed facial blindness, a really interesting subject in its own right, due to brain damage, would still subconsciously react to faces of people they had been familiar with before their condition. So essentially in FB the conscious level of facial recognition breaks down, even if the subconscious level doesn't. But Capgras is the inverse of that, where the conscious level remains intact, but the subconscious level breaks down. So you recognize that they're physically indistinguishable from the person you know, but that emotional and familial connection with them that tells you that they are who they are just stops firing.